Good afternoon, everybody. Alex StarCraft here, bringing you guys the second game in this best of 3 series between NightEnD, the red protoss in the bottom right hand corner, and LiquidZenio, the blue zerg in the top left hand corner. Now, last game I promised you guys I would find out how to pronounce Zenio's name. I have heard it pronounced Zenio, and I could not find anything. The closest result I had was on AustralianBabyNames.com or similar. It's an Australian baby names website. Unfortunately, pronunciation was unavailable, so I still don't know how to pronounce his name. I'm going to keep calling him Zenio just because that is easier for me to say. And so the map is going to be Tal'Darim Altar. It's a huge, very, very large macro map, and they are in cross positions, so you see the distance to get to their base is just like absolutely enormous. So this is going to lend itself to what is probably going to be another huge macro game like last game, and so it'll be very interesting to see how this leads. Now, I hope it's actually not too huge of a macro game, because that last game kind of killed me because I'm not used to casting for that extended of a period of time. But if I'm still alive, and you know, whatever doesn't kill me will only make me stronger, and I will get better at casting as a result. And so I want to say again, thank you guys all so much, those of you that have been watching my games, those of you that have subscribed. It means so much to me, and this is just something I really love doing. I want to keep doing it, and the more views I get, the more subscribers, the better, because that is just the more people I get to spread my love of this game and of esports. I get to spread it too, because I've convinced my parents to go to a barcraft with me sometime when I am back in town, and I am so excited for that. And who knows, maybe someday they'll even watch my casts when I am like Husky StarCraft. Though, really, if I was ever about a 100th as good as Husky in terms of like subscribers and everything, I would be a very happy camper. Now, Zenio does have to keep an eye on this probe. There could be a lot of cannon shenanigans that could go on here. Of course, this map doesn't totally lend itself to it, because there's so much space. But say if he did something like pylon, and then like cannon, that would do a lot of damage to Zenio. Now he is going to be picking off this probe right now. He's going to be trying to get a surround, it looks like. Of course, NightEnD has been clicking the minerals so it can float through the units. We do see Zenio splitting off the zerglings to go get the towers, and this one making sure there's no shenanigans. And I'm actually going to open my window because I do not think the bulldozer I mentioned in the first game is there anymore. So it is very nice outside. Oh, that breeze feels so good. And so now I'm being slightly more of a normal person, because now, while I do still have my lights off and I'm still casting StarCraft when it is 60 degrees out in the middle of January, late January, I do have a window open, so there's some fresh air. And fresh air is supposed to be very good for you. Now, we do have NightEnD scouting the third right here. Now, of course, these rocks are here. Sometimes you do see zergs, like Destiny will do it. They'll just throw down an expansion right there, and then break down the rocks eventually and build another one there. This one's kind of a macro hatch, and it can mine a little bit while it's just sitting. And we do have this expansion being done from NightEnD. So, for right now, really, NightEnD, because he does have this macro advantage, he has the very secure natural right here. The reason I say he does have an advantage is just because you can see, well, he should be up on workers. He's even on workers right now, especially with chrono boosting those out. And just because, again, as I've said before, as every caster always says, the zerg really kind of has to be one base ahead to keep up with a Protoss or Terran player. And so Zenio ideally would take a very quick third. He is not yet, though. And so he's got a few choices. He can do a lot of tech, he can do a slightly delayed third, or he can go for some kind of bust, or like an all-in or something with roaches or banelings, something like that. And it looks like he will be choosing the tech route. We do have the lair coming out from Zenio, so it'll be very interesting to see what he's doing. That he's also throwing down one extra gas. He's still spending all his minerals towards saturating this. We can see 3 or 4 more drones on the way. Should be injecting in just a second, because you can see he's got such low energy on his queens. Yep, there it is. That's so good. And we are at the point NightEnD has not quite gotten far enough where he will totally reveal his tech yet. He can go Well, okay, no, he has revealed that he will not be going Stargate, just because the Stargate you generally throw down more or less like right after your Cybercore finishes. It looks like he will be going the Robo route. Now this can obviously be what's great because you get the observers, but it can be very good for Immortals if they do go Roaches, and then later games Colossi. This is again Colossi are just kind of, I would say hands down, the best ground unit in the game, with a close tie for second with the Siege Tank. Or the Siege Tank is barely second, I should say. But we do have Zenio going for Mutas, and now it looks like he actually probably can see, yes, he does see the Robo. He's this nice pesky little Overlord up here, which you can see NightEnD cannot even see. But Zenio can see everything going like in and out of the base. He can see all the tech. So these are like, it's a nice little perch for the Overlord. Now, of course, once this Observer is out, it will be able to do a lot of damage, or I should say it should be able to kill this Overlord. It will do a lot of damage to the Overlord. We do have Zenio finally starting to break down these rocks, but as I was saying, Zenio, he does see it. He is going for the, what do you call it, Spire tech, and this is really kind of the best thing. It's like the ideal against a Robo, just because, I mean, obviously nothing that comes out of the Robo can actually shoot up, which is not ideal for fighting off flying units. And so what's probably going to happen here is once he gets out of this, he's actually, wow, perfect scouting from Zenio. He sees every gateway as well as the Twilight Council. And it looks like NightEnd's actually just going to be using this to get a whole bunch of observers. He actually has 2 on the map now. So we will be able to scout both like the Zerg's tech, his main, his army, as well as for bases. It looks like since this is almost broken down, he should probably be throwing down his 3rd. There comes the drone. We do have 7 Mutas on the way. And the question is, I do not think that he has seen that. No, he has not. So it will be interesting to see whether NightEnD is able to scout the Spire. He does scout the 3rd, which is, of course, very important. And I would imagine he'll just kind of send it across the base. So he will see the Spire, of course. By the time he sees it, the Mutas will already be on the way. He does see the spawning pool, and there he sees the Spire. But we already have the Mutas flying across the map. I wouldn't be surprised, just we do see some cannons going down. I guess it's probably just one back here, yeah. I wouldn't be surprised to see one at the natural soon. No, he actually has some stalkers just running back. He's picking off one probe. Get this one. Oh, it only has 1 health left. He doesn't manage to get it with a bounce or anything, though. But now, this is where the Zerg can be kind of in heaven in his, or I should say he was in heaven last game as well, but he can be in kind of his ideal macro mode, because while he has the total map control with these Mutas, the Protoss player is forced to kind of, you can see, he's forced to like keep his Stalkers back, just build cannon, stuff like that. He can't do so much teching. His tech is delayed because, of course, again, none of the units that come out of here are good against the Muta. And so, well, we do have Zenio. He does have, I thought I saw a red dot on the mini-map. I guess I might have not actually. But we do see Zenio just kind of teching up. He's continuing to make Mutas. He's making drones. He's actually getting an expansion over here. Wow, as well as a macro hatch. And as Day9 actually mentioned once on State of the Game last night, he's saying that's one advantage Zerg will have if they go for some kind of Muta-Ling mix, because you can expand here, you can expand anywhere you want, and you'll be fine, because the Protoss army simply cannot get there quickly enough. Like, if they move out over here, you can just go in and, wow, you can just go in and destroy their entire base. And then the Protoss just kind of loses. An expansion for a main is not really an ideal trade for any race. Looks like, again, we do have a whole bunch of Mutas coming in, and looks like they're going to be doing a lot of damage now. He does already have some Stalkers positioned here, so that is enough to ward off the Mutas, unless he does choose to engage them directly. Which it seems like he does, which is always a good option. I like it to see it when Zergs do that, just because a lot of times you'll see Zerg players, they're like, they have 12 Mutas, and they're like, oh crap, a single Stalker, and they pull back. But a lot of times you can just engage directly, and you can kill that. Now we do have a Dark Shrine about to be finished, actually, out of NightEnD. So actually, has it been spotted? No, I do not think it has. I actually don't even know where it is. It is somewhere. There it is. There's a Dark Shrine, and I do not think that has been spotted. Now, fortunately, he is getting spores at every base, so he probably has some kind of an inkling that it was indeed built. No, he did not see it. And it looks like NightEnd's going to be trying to grab his 3rd. At the same time, he's going to be going for probably some kind of Dark Templar aggression. I'd imagine we'd see that very soon. And NightEnd is doing a really good job defending all of these probes, we see he's only lost 7 so far, and there are, how many mutas is that? Let's see if we can try that again. There are 14 mutalisks, and so losing only 7 probes to 14 mutalisks for this long, that's a very good job defending. He's got very good stalker positioning. The question is he going to be able to hold this third? Something that I would like to see actually Zenio do is if he did something where he sent his zerglings into here and tried to snipe the nexus while he has his mutas try and do some damage here, and we do see the stalkers are kind of out of position. We do have them running back. NightEnD actually is quite a big army. He has 22 stalkers, so that's really good for him. Looks like the Muta is picking off a lot of stalkers, but wow, he just lost a lot of Mutas. I think he might have overcommitted a little bit right there. Now let's take a look at the worker count. It does look like both players are about more or less where they want to be. The protoss never wants to have quite as many drone probes as Zerg will have drones. I know Zerg will generally want about 80 is a good number, especially in a huge map like this. And so right now, both players just kind of sitting back macroing. We see a fair amount has been lost, but that's basically been in exchanged mutas and stalkers. And so, what's his name? Zenio is grabbing his hive. Well, I cannot remember these players' names. And at the same time, Zenio or NightEnD is getting the Colossi tech out. He's getting that robotics bay. And actually, okay, he has made some Dark Templar. I was about to say, I actually don't think we've seen any yet. Now the question is he aware of those? And I think, yes, he is. He's aware that there's something here. Now, lucky for him, he doesn't actually have any expansions up here, and hopefully this one will not be spotted. But, no, it will not be, so that's good for him. That'll save him a few seconds, but it does look like, you can see he has Spine and a Spore at more or less every base, which that's kind of the way to protect yourself against Dark Templar as Zerg. You just get Spine and Spore, just at each base. So unfortunately, I do not think these Dark Templar will be able to do a whole lot of work. And luckily, that is not really the tech he's committing to. So he's going to be transitioning to the Colossi tech, and that'll be very good. We should see, yeah, we see Zenio's army coming over here. And the Overseer is going to be following the DTs best it can. And, oh, the DTs have to be very worried with the Overseer and Hot Pursuit and the Mutas flying over their heads. We do have, wow, Infestors, Greater Spire, Ultra Cavern, Baneling Speed, upgrades, everything coming out of Zenio right now. Because he just has a huge economy going around, 91 drones. He's got 2,500 mineral income. We have the Gravatic Boosters, which is, I can never remember which one that is. Is that the, okay, that is the Observer Speed upgrade. I have seen the Warp Prism Speed upgrade, which can actually be quite good, because it makes it almost as fast as Mutas, which is kind of insane. We do have Archons and Colossi on the way from NightEnD. That is a very good composition. And so right now, we just have, once again, that kind of maxed versus maxed composition we saw last game. It looks like Zenio is going to see if he can do any work here, but once again, he is not. This time, NightEnD was able to secure a third. And really, as a 2-base Protoss, you can kind of deal with as Zerg. A 3-base Protoss is really scary. And that is why Zenio, I think he's going to be trying to get up like Infestor, Broodlord, Baneling, Ultra to be able to deal with this force. Wow, he's building a lot of spines here. I think the reason for this is just to delay an army if he pushes out, or if any small number of zealots or something want to snipe this. So that'll help save everything. And Zenio, he's kind of committed to the Mutalisks quite a bit. He does see that Warp Prism. Looks like he should probably run. Oh, he's actually doing a fair amount of damage, some good force fields. And Zenio choosing not to try and snipe the Colossi. But he does do a decent bit of damage right there. You can see he's still behind by about 1,500 on the resources lost. But he does have some Banelings in the mix as well. And so it'll come down to almost these Baneling hits right now. We also do have some Ultras as well as the Ventral Sack. So we might see some something like Katz's Fabled Ultralisk drop Harass, something like that. Those Banelings getting some pretty good hits. Unfortunately, Archons are pretty impervious to Baneling. Zenio picking off the Warp Prism. That was a nice little victory for him right here. And wow, this is not too great for Zenio. He's almost definitely going to lose this base, unless he can get some units up there really quickly, just because there are so many Zealots and Dark Templar in here. And of course, the Dark Templar by themselves aren't that much of a threat, but with that many Zealots, it's a bit of an issue. He might be able to save this if these Mutas can get there in time. Unfortunately, oh, the Spore Crawler is still up, so it looks like he will be able to save this. Very lucky for Zenio, unfortunate for NightEnD. But we do have another DT Zealot hit squad kind of running around as he grabs this expansion, which Zenio has seen. So it's actually very cool watching this game, just because both players, you see, they're very aware of each other players, like what's going on the map. And it's a classic example of kind of the super fast, but kind of frail, I guess you could say, force of the Zerg versus the huge, kind of slow, but like strong force of the Protoss ball. Now, of course, the Ultras look to change that. The Ultras bring the meat. They do have the +3 ground carapace, as well as the or what is it? Is it the +2 is about to finish? So it's got the +1 as well as the chitinous plating. So that is very good for the Ultras. And so when this engagement finally happens, it'll be interesting to see, just because the Stalkers, like Stalkers and Colossi, are not ideal against Ultras. You really want to have Immortals, and the Archons, they do okay. They do the 47 damage. Of course, that makes them good against every Ultra, but of course, the size of the Ultra, or I should say every Zerg unit, but the size of the Ultra kind of negates the splash damage. And again, this is actually a kind of game where there's definitely been more engagement than the last one, but there has not been very much. He's going to cancel that. Yes, he is. But there's not been a whole lot of engagement. NightEnD, about to lose his Stalkers there. Looks like Zenio might force the engage just because he is such a huge bank. My god. 5k and 3k. NightEnD is almost an equal bank. And I just can't wait for them to engage, really, because one, my mouth is really dry, and I want this game to be over. And two, this is going to be an intense engagement. You can see it's going to be Ultra, Muta, some Banelings and Infestors, and some Zerglings against this, oh, what is it? Archon, Colossus, Warp Prism. Well, the Warp Prism's harassing. Archon, Colossus, Stalker, Sentry, Zealot, Ball. So both of these players are getting almost like ideal forces. Let's take a look at Zenio's upgrade, or NightEnd's upgrades. He's got +2 on the armor and +3 on the attack. Zenio has +3 on the melee attack, as well as +2 on the armor. Using fungals on individual Stalkers there. Looks like he might try and force an engagement, but he should not do it here. Yeah, the positioning would be absolutely terrible for those Ultras. Those look like NightEnd trying to grab this expansion again. This game might become kind of the battle for the fourth, I should say, like NightEnd had the battle for the third last game. And it looks like, wow, Zenio should probably drop these Zerglings in. That could do a lot of damage. Not so much here anymore because almost everything's dead. I'm actually, maybe he could do a hold on damage. We do have an engagement coming down. Huge fungals coming off on all of the Stalkers and the Ultras. Ultras doing a good amount of damage, but they actually didn't get very many kills. It looks like that army just kind of got destroyed. We do have 6 more Ultras on the way, but Zenio is being forced to retreat all the way back to his creep, almost all the way back to his natural. And I feel like these Mutas are needed in there as well. That is a huge Stalker force. But of course the Mutas can do a lot of work versus the Zealots and the Colossus. With this Observer, wow, he's picking off so much creep, and that is going to be a huge advantage. Now, but we do see the advantage that he does have is the fact that he has such a huge bank. NightEnd does not have too much of one. Oh, should I bring up the... where is it? I always forget to bring this up. I'll try my best to bring it up in the future. It just makes it a little bit easier to see the supplies, I guess. We do see NightEnd is remaxed, but I still think Zenio has a slight advantage just because he has so much money, so many bases. NightEnd is finally securing that 4th. But it looks like Zenio is going to try and engage at this point right here. This will give him a pretty good advantage if he can catch it. Of course, NightEnd aware of that, pulling out as fast as he can. And wow, some pretty big Baneling hits coming off. We have the Mutas. They are trying to focus down the Colossi. And wow, there's so many Ultras in this army. Oh my god. Now, if only there was some stuff for fungal growth. Looks like NightEnd is going to be trying his best to retreat, but the only problem is Ultras, while they're not the fastest units, it is kind of hard to retreat from them, especially if he wants to do it all the way across the map. Now, he is going to be turning around, he's going to be engaging, and this is actually not good positioning for the Colossi. They're caught up on just a few Zealots. And he actually loses a lot right now. I definitely have to remember to put myself on idle, or busy, I should say, next time I'm casting, because I meant to do that after last game. And at this point, NightEnd is in good shape. He's on equal supply with the Zerg. Now, the Zerg just did get a bunch more. I guess he made a whole bunch of Ultras, as well as Zerglings. But it's still, I still think the Ultras are not seeming to be the best. Now, we do have all these Zerglings running in here. They're going to probably manage to completely deny this fourth. And so this will put NightEnD actually on one almost empty mining base. He actually does manage to pick this off. Big warp bin, actually big blink from all the units he had just up on the cliff. But we can see NightEnd's income definitely taking a hit. Of course, Zenio's does as well. So now we have almost just an Ultra Zergling force against Archon Stalker. Wow, he's going to pick off a few Stalkers. He does manage to blink away these Stalkers as soon as the other one saw the high ground. It looks like he's going to be just blinking back down to this base as soon as he can, yeah. And again, that's the nice thing about the Blink Stalkers. They have that mobility. It allows them to stay alive a little bit longer. And you see, of course, Ultras can't jump down cliffs. That would be awesome if they did. That should be something they add in Heart of the Swarm, actually. The ability... They could be like Colossus. They can walk up and down cliffs. They're big enough, really. Because if you've ever seen... Of course, I don't know how big these cliffs are. But if you've ever seen the picture of an Ultra compared to a Marine, Ultras are enormous units. They're like on... It'll be like on its hind legs about to cleave. It is like 30 feet tall. It looks like we do have another big engagement coming here. I still think this kind of favors NightEnD. This is a scary Protoss ball. And the Ultras, they are good. But when they're just sitting back like this, when they're not able to do a whole lot of damage and break in, you see, they just don't do too well. He's kind of forced to retreat. And this is where that burrow thing, he's actually getting some huge fungals off on the Stalkers, and he's just losing all his Ultras, and this does not look good for Zenio. I think he should have gotten Broodlords, because these Archons are doing so much damage. They're doing 47 damage and attack to the Ultras, as well as these Colossi. They're doing 21 damage and attack times 2, plus the 3 attack upgrade. Same thing on these Archons. And it looks like NightEnd's just going to kind of be running out across the map, cleaning out expansions, and we see Zenio is about 50 supply behind. Now, I'm not exactly sure why. He has a good amount of money, unless he's actually about to lose this base as well. And I don't know if he if he lost tech or what. I'm not sure why he's not actually making units. But now he's just kind of losing expansions all over the place. And this is, it's not looking good for Zenio. Those Banings do clean up that, but he's just lost 3 expansions he just took. So he is down to really just one mining base. And there's a GG from Zenio. Wow, very interesting. Okay. I'm not quite sure what Zenio did right there, just because even though when he lost that army, he didn't build anything else after losing that one in the center. You see, he had 3,000 and 4,000 resources. He could have made a whole bunch of Broodlords. He did have the Greater Spire. But I think it was really just kind of a tech choice error right there, just because the Ultras, like, they can be good, but they were not doing good versus that Protoss ball, and he just kept making them, and eventually it just became too much for him. So another nice, very long macro game, and I am exhausted. So hopefully, I pray to God, the third game be shorter. And so I will see you guys over there in a few minutes. I hope you do indeed watch it to see the end of this highly intense macro series.